So let me just make sure you understood that. Ben Bitdiddle says, put arbitrary things in the session, and is that OK? Yes, and you can do it. Yes, but you shouldn't do it. No, because you can't generally put arbitrary things in a hash. And no, because session isn't really a hash. It just quacks like one until it's time to save it between sessions, and then it's not a hash anymore. We're going to keep with a high-octane mode today. There's enough disagreement on this one that I think you should probably talk it over for a minute. OK, should we do an updated vote? Updated vote? Updated vote? OK, we have convergence on the, I assume green, right? People are thinking green. Good. So let's go through and understand why green is the right answer. And there were initially some votes for blue. Blue is a plausible choice, but I think green is a better choice. And here's the reason. When I say session isn't really a hash, it just quacks like one. Remember, the whole point of duck typing is if it quacks like a duck, it's a freaking duck. So it's fine that session just quacks like a hash. You can indeed do everything to the session that you would expect to do to a hash, and the session will not complain. You can abuse it. You can throw it against the wall. The problem is that at some point, the session has to be serialized. It's got to be saved so that it can be restored on the next request. Now, it is absolutely the case, as I said on a couple of minutes ago, that you could choose to store session data in the database or store session data in a NoSQL database. If you do that, you can make the session arbitrarily big. You just got to make sure that the part of the session that's persisted in the cookie is not too large. But that isn't a problem with the session. It's a problem with the cookie mechanism, right? And some people, there's different ways you can solve it. You can solve it by saying, I'm going to put my sessions in the database. That lets the session object be bigger. Or you could say, I'm going to refactor how I think of my session. I'm going to create a new model to represent the information I really care about. That model is going to be persistent in the database, just like all other models. And then my session is small, because it only has to store like the IDs of which model instances I care about. That's the more elegant refactoring and probably more likely to be RESTful, but it's not the only one. So indeed, green is the right answer here. You can technically do it, but it's a bad idea, because at some point, you'll probably end up shooting yourself in the foot. You can indeed put arbitrary objects into a hash. So the red answer is not correct. And knock yourself out. No, don't. This is a time to actually exercise some restraint.